I'm honored to introduce our next voice of conscience, Bob Shireman. Bob has spent his career working tirelessly to bring college within reach for low-income students. He does it by pushing for policy reforms that everyone else views as smart, but just too risky. The changes may go under arcane names like gainful employment or direct lending, but don't be fooled. Bob is responsible for bold moves that change the debate and lead to powerful outcomes, like the reforms he spearheaded in student lending that saved the federal government $50 billion. Along the way, Bob has built a reputation as a tenacious advocate. As you'd expect, he's a deeply trusted advisor to higher education experts across the country. But even more telling is the view of his adversaries. In the hour between reports of Bob's impending departure from the Department of Education and the close of the stock market that day, the average stock price of 4 major for-profit colleges rose a whopping 9% an hour. Anyone with that kind of street cred gets public advocates' respect. But I have to admit, when I first learned I'd be working with Bob in our new efforts to curb abuses by for-profit colleges, I wasn't sure what to expect. In my short time in DC, I came across quite a few tyrannical officials. So when I heard that the for-profit college industry was terrified of Bob Shireman, I'd imagine he'd be one of those people. Instead, he is wonderfully kind, patient, and humble, with a witty intellect and an ability to spice up his advocacy with humor. Ladies and gentlemen, a true champion for college access and affordability, and an amazing human being, Bob Shireman.
Thank you, Liz. So when I told my 12-year-old son that I was getting an award, he asked me a question that is on all of your minds as well. He asked me, what does it look like? So Liz tells me that by the end of the evening, I will have an answer to that most important question about my award. So I wanted to start this evening by telling you a little bit about an issue that has been nagging at me in the hopes that maybe you can help me out with this. And I think it fits in with Jamie's theme about perception. Just recently, there's been an item in the news about community colleges in Santa Monica that were trying to figure out how to meet local demand for courses at the colleges, that they were not able to serve everyone, and they created a 2-tier pricing schedule. They were attacked as this being an unfair step. The price for the additional courses that they were going to be offering this summer was nearly 4 times the regular price of community college courses. There were protests, there was even some pepper spray, and the district suspended its plans. Many people, especially those of us on the left, saw these protesters as heroes, as doing the right thing. But I see the community college president and the board of trustees there as the ones who may well be the ones who deserve a Voice of Conscience award. They looked outside of their college and they saw people who needed courses if they were going to be able to finish their degrees, if they were going to be able to transfer, get a job, and were not able to enroll at the college. They saw a number of their own students who were from high-income backgrounds and could afford to pay the extremely low tuition that was being charged at the community college, about $46 a unit, which is, for a full-time student for a year, it's under $1,500. So the $180 a unit that they were thinking of, that they were planning to charge for these other courses, while it could be portrayed as quadrupling the regular price, it was actually less than students pay at San Francisco State, less than students pay at Cal State East Bay, half what students pay at University of California, and less than a third of what students would pay at a private college, a for-profit college. And really, given that you can't, that there's no more enrollment space at UC or CSU, really their only option are open enrollment for-profit colleges costing 10, 20, 30 times what a community college costs. It's a complex issue. Santa Monica even had a financial aid plan for students in this situation. It was an imperfect solution, but reasonable given the terrible situation that Californians face right now, unable to get the courses that they need and get a seat at a public institution. And unfortunately, people will be worse off because Santa Monica wasn't able to go forward with this imperfect but necessary temporary solution that is something really that the legislature needs to address by creating some kind of a sliding scale type tuition situation. But I feel like Santa Monica was right to try. And if any of you, in the time we have after we're done here, if you have ideas about what's the right way to get at this issue, I would appreciate any thoughts that you might have. So when I first learned that I was going to be receiving this award, I started thinking about why is it that I challenge. Where did this start? I'm a middle child. I should just be sort of going along with the flow. Authority figures. Yes. I'll do whatever. And I started digging around my garage. Helping me to think about this stuff. And I found an artifact. And there's actually one or two people here who may remember this. Excuse me. From elementary school. When I was in sixth grade, I ran for vice president of the school. So, my heroes, can anybody recognize who's this? 1972, Mark Spitz, Olympic, hero, Mark Spitz, Olympic swimmer, Henry Kissinger, Spiro Agnew, and of course, Tricky Dick. When I entered junior high school, and during junior high school, it's like, okay, by the way, I did not win this election. I then discover corrupt, creepy, and a dentist. And so it taught me to be suspicious of authority, and that if things don't seem right, maybe you should question it and do something about it. So Watergate was one factor, but I think more important has been a second factor, and that, and that is some of the people who are here, and especially some of the people who were, it was so touching to see in the program, several financial administrators at some colleges that had for years worked on changing the student loan program. And being a financial aid administrator at a college is not a high prestige kind of position. And so when bankers come and want to take you out to lunch, and they want to sponsor your conferences, and you get to have these, trips on boats and everything, there's a tendency to want to do that. You don't get a lot of prestige as a financial aid administrator, but there were a set of financial aid people at colleges that looked at what was going on in student lending, and they knew it wasn't right. And they were shunned by their associations because they wouldn't just go along. And when I started working with them, I felt like I couldn't let them, that they were doing the right thing. And they were doing it at their own cost and they would get involved in this stuff and fund their own separate conferences and everything because they knew that it wasn't right to be taking this money and quietly deciding not to bring up policy ideas that the lenders involved would not support because, gosh, why don't we just all get along and go along and everything will be okay. I found this also a similar kind of feeling when I went to the Department of Education and there were career staff people who had seen for years in the previous administration that their efforts to do the appropriate regulation of the colleges were compromised away time and again. And again, they were trying to do the right thing and stuck with it. And I felt like both financial aid administrators and career staff at the Department of Education, these were people of conscience who kind of like at a concert where you lift somebody up and carry them across to the stage. I kind of feel like they're the people who kept me honest and wanting to do the right thing because they were acting on their conscience in their work. And public advocates is the legal backbone of that crowd of people of conscience. And I couldn't be any prouder to receive the Voice of Conscience Award. And perhaps with this endorsement, I can win that election for vice president of my elementary school. Thank you very much.